Hey beautiful biscuits, welcome back to the Wholesome Feed. I just realized I'm still in my costume get up. I was just filming a romance novel episode in my streaming series and it's so funny. It is based on a story concept that I'm currently writing, but we could get the TV episode into production first, so it's kind of funny and out of order, but just realized that's what I'm still wearing. It's one of those busy days. So I thought this would be so much fun. An erotica author Q&A. Hi, if you're brand new and you're like, whoa, what did I just click on? I am Rose Kelly. I write under the pen name RM Kelly, and I write erotica and romance. I mainly write in sci-fi reverse harem, where a lady gets lots of aliens to love her, or in paranormal romance, where it's this erotic fun game and there's different witches in the coven and it's very cottagecore and spicy. But I asked on my Patreon page, feel free to go check out our Primal Self-Care Patreon, where we embrace finding happiness in all sorts of bits and pieces of our lives. Our lives. And my patrons, they rock. Woo! They sent me a bunch of questions. I think I've narrowed it down to some of the ones I'm gonna do. Let me see what I answer, and then I might go grab my phone for the rest of them. But okay, I wrote it down, so that's what I'm looking at. In case you're wondering, you're like, oh, I have a little notepad here because I'm fancy like that. So the thing I love about back to school season is I can buy a ton of my like just random notebooks and stuff that I make all my work notes in on super sale. I'm like, yes, I like that. I love a sale. You biscuits know that. Anybody that has watched any of my haul videos knows that I like a sale. Okay, I'm gonna get to the first question. I'm just gonna dive in. Is everyone in your books someone in real life? In my real life? No. I don't think that I've solidly transposed one person into a character, with the caveat that I think I'm going to in an upcoming book. Because they just make too good of a villain-ish character to not. So I think I'm going to turn them into a character. I've put pieces of that person in before, but no, I don't think I've ever solidly just transported someone from my life into a book. Sometimes I'll kidnap names every once in a while, but really rarely. Generally it's like personality traits or looks or something. But no, I think that would be weird for anybody that knows me that reads the book if it was like a direct person in my life, because they would be like, oh, I know who that is, you know. My books are much more fantasy based because, you know, ladies like a fantastical man. Okay. I hope that answers the question. I feel like that's not a very good answer. I should have like a more stock answer that's like a good explanation of how I create, you know, like the people in my life, how they influence my writing, but I don't have a good explanation for that. It changes story to story. Is it exciting to write erotica? I love getting into the head of my romance novel heroine. I love getting into the worlds and world building and creating these fun worlds. And I do Easter eggs throughout all my novels. Even if they're different genres, it will ping in. In fact, I do that also in my romance streaming series, is there'll be little Easter eggs for different characters or different like places or things that'll happen, which is funny because it's the different genres. You know, I've written contemporary romance, and then I've written sci-fi and the future romance, and they still tie in. So is it exciting? Yeah, I love it. I don't just love the writing. The writing I love writing. I love working with designers for book covers. I love that whole process. I love the whole process of creating them into a streaming series. I love coming up with the idea, and then I love having a finished book. The actual writing is super hard work and not at all exciting. It's just slogging through in a great way. Like, I love writing, but I think anybody that tells you that they love the whole writing process from beginning to end is lying, or they've never written a book, because it's a lot of work and a lot of stress, writer's block, question yourself. It's very exciting to create romance worlds. The physical labor that goes into it, less so. Would I rather film or write? Oh man, I guess write. I really love writing, creating the worlds, but honestly I love filming too. I don't know, I'm not sure. I really like both. They work different parts of my brain, which I find deeply satisfying to engage with writer side of my brain and filming side of my brain, because they really do take different skill sets. And I feel like I'm a smarter person, I'm more observant about the world when I take the time to do both. You know, I have been writing scripts for my streaming series and my short films the last year or two, but I haven't been writing a bunch of novellas or any new novels, because it's just a season of my life where I'm super busy, you know. And I could tell that my brain wanted to get back into that world building, and you should see like the pages of information I have about all my characters, what they all look like, where they're from, details about them, backgrounds, you know, where my locations are and everything. And sometimes if I have a really particular location in mind, I'll have like a storyboard, or I'll have some photo inspirations, you know. Sometimes it's somewhere I've really been. So I can't pick one. I can't pick one or the other. I really do love both too much. That's like picking a child. It's not gonna happen. No Sophie's Choice here. Ooh, who gets that reference? I feel like that's a vintage reference. Oh, when or how do I write being a mama? Being a mom. That's a good question. So there's a reason I haven't come out with a new book in 2 years. I had my daughter during the pandemic, and totally loved, planned for it, loved my daughter. It's been a lot of work. I started a new business. I run a small glamping business, which is like glamorous, fabulous camping, you know, where you get provided all the amenities. And I grew my filming world, YouTube world, and everything. I launched my romance novel streaming series and short films for OnlyFans, and so it's been really busy. And so I feel like I'm just now getting back in the last short while of figuring out how to balance that now with 2 kids. What I tend to do is I love voice to text, but I find it has a lot of errors and it misses a lot of stuff. So honestly, like if voice to text genuinely worked, I could write so fast because I can talk fast. That's my nature. But since it has so many errors and I have to go back and correct stuff, I tend to write. So I will stay up late at night after the kids are asleep and write a bunch if I'm not tired. If I'm tired, it's no good, because I'm too tired, I can't write well. I will also write in the mornings, like I'll put on a cartoon for the kids, or I will go take them to like a trampoline park. This is how I wrote when I just had my son, and he could go like to a indoor playground kind of thing and play, and I could see him and I could write. And I can't really do that because my daughter's only 2, and so she needs to be observed in all these places because she could hurt. So if she falls asleep in my arms, like we like to go to trampoline indoor playgrounds and stuff, if she falls asleep in my arms, then I can write on my phone, or I can bring my tablet and I can write on that. So I try to find times where I am not tired, but I have full time to commit my noggin to this, because it does take a lot of focus. And I gotta say, a big honest truth in this is it's when inspiration hits. I feel like as a writer, maybe more than anything else, I really have to be in the zone to write it and to do it. I find it really helps me if I've traveled recently, like if I've gotten a little new spark of creativity. Not that the book is about the travel or anything, but somehow getting out of my normal routines as a mom can really help me get in the creative zone to write. So there's no one answer. I mean, some people just block off a certain amount of time, stick the kids to go play, or while they're in school, if you have school-age kids. I homeschool, so when it's school time, I have to actually be around. But yeah, it's a tricky balance. I don't have a good answer to that. In my mind, I'm like, oh, if I could get more childcare, I could write more. But honestly, my kids are better behaved and calmer when it's me taking care of them the majority of the week. And like, I'm trying to think what the most amount of childcare we've ever had. I think we had like 2 5-hour days once. I don't know. I mean, I don't think I've ever had more than like 10 to 50. Have I ever had 15 hours of childcare? Maybe 1 week. I don't even know if I've ever had that. But it's tricky. So mainly when inspiration strikes, that's how I balance it as a mom. And I try to be really flexible in my schedule, that if I'm really feeling inspired that day to write, I really design our day as much as I can, excluding deadlines or kids must-dos, to be in that zone and be available to write. Like I did that the other day. I was just like, you know what? We're just going to cancel other stuff and I'm going to write because I'm really in the zone and I got some good stuff done. How do you name each character? Well, I feel like I kind of talked about something like that. Well, I'm trying to think. What are my characters' names? Okay, so some of them I just come up with random names. Like in Sci-Fi World, I can go full to bang. Sometimes I name them after people. And oftentimes I actually keep a like a note thing on my phone of names that I see around, like towns when I'm traveling, streets, companies, things that I think are really interesting that sound like a great name for a character. I just literally have a note on my phone that I'll type it out, and I keep that. And so when I'm really stuck, I'm like, oh, I'm looking there. I also really like Victorian names, which is so funny because like neither of my kids have Victorian names. So why didn't I name them Victorian? Because I love Victorian era names. I just think they're great. I don't know. I guess my kids name themselves, really. I always say that. It's like their little souls were just like, this is what we're going to be called. I'm like, okay. So Victorian names, or I keep notes of words that I really like as a name. And then sometimes I think I'm going to remember them, don't write the name down and forget. And I'm so sad because I know there's a couple great names out there that I have forgotten. Oh, this is a good toasty question. Does it make me, let's say, hot when I'm writing my romance scenes? Oh, it's so toasty. In fact, there are scenes I can only write when I'm by myself because it's too saucy. It makes you too like, what's this about? Yeah, I remember this. I think I've told this story before. I remember writing like a really saucy scene. It's in a contemporary romance novel I wrote. It's called The Last 10 Pounds. You can get it on Amazon. It's a great book. It's a little short novella. It's easy to read. It's a great read before bed. And I was writing a really saucy scene, and my son at the time, I don't know how old he was, but he was a little kid at the indoor playground off playing. And you know, all the kids were around, and I was like, I can't write this scene here. I was trying, because it had a little spot for like parents to work, you know, while their kids were playing. And I was in that work zone, but it was still like, this is too weird. I'm going to finish writing this when it's home. So I just wrote like non-saucy scenes because I couldn't do it. It was too weird. So yes, I do think it makes me saucier and toastier, let's say, because they're very steamy scenes, and you really have to think about it. Like you have to go back over it and you have to edit it, and you have to think about it, like the logistics and stuff and the fun of it. And yes, you know what? I get a lot of my saucy scenes and book ideas laying in bed, going to sleep at night, or waking up first thing in the morning feeling frisky, thinking, what's a frisky way so-and-so could get it on in the novel? And that is where I come up with some of my best frisky scenes. The worst book I've read, oh, not the worst book I've written. I don't know what the worst book, I mean, I have so many 10% written books that are terrible that will never come out. So that's the worst one I've read. I don't know the worst book I've ever read. I've probably blinked it out if I'm being honest. I don't want to trash talk another author, but I'm trying to think, is there anything like in general as a genre? Oh, okay. This is a genre, like a cliche thing. I hate books that do not clearly let you know if they're gonna like kill or take away a character's kid in it. Oh, sorry. There was some noise in my house. I have no idea what that noise was. Yes. Those are the only books that I'll really like despise, is if I'm halfway through a book, especially a romance book, and then they like kill off a kid or something unexpectedly. I'm like, no, I need a warning because I'm not going to consume that content. So probably that in general, but not like a particular book. Has it changed how I expect men to behave because I write erotica? That's a really good question. I don't know if it has. I don't go around on dates and stuff, so I don't know, like, what would I expect? I think I have higher expectations for men in a good way, because it's let me think as I write about what I think a good man is. Like when I'm writing the character or characters that the main lady is going to fall in love with, it's let me process what I think is a good man. So I feel like, is it expectations? There. So yeah, I think I have higher expectations, but in a positive way, not like unrealistic. You can't take romance novel spicy scenes and translate it over what you expect in real life, because you're going to be disappointed. but it certainly inspired me to be more focused on what I view as a good man. I'm trying to think as like a general rule. I don't know anybody that's been negatively impacted on what they expect about men by reading romance novels. I really can't think of that. I think it just helps women feel like they are worthy and desirable of love. And yeah, I think that's really powerful and good. That's why I love writing romance in particular. Is I've written other genres before, like film scripts and things, and romance to me just does good in the world. You know, it makes women and men happy, and I love that I get to participate in that universe. Well, this video is going long. Okay, I'm sticking with these questions because that ended up being long answers. Feel free and check out my romance novelist, R.M. Kelly, over on Amazon. You can actually download them on a Kindle. I have some Kindle Unlimited, so if you have a Kindle Unlimited, it's a great time to grab some. And I'm coming out with some new stories this year. I'm so excited. It's taken so long. I'm not sure what move that is. It's the book writing move. It's like a monkey writing books. Join us on our Patreon for a primal month of deep diving into self-care in the most fun, saucy, spicy fun way you can imagine, because self-care doesn't have to be dry, it doesn't have to be boring. It can be juicy and luscious where you just want to take a bite of that self-care and add it into your life. I'm going to see you over in the next video here on the Wholesome Feed. And hey, don't forget, click down below if you haven't already to subscribe and hit the like button.